What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So yesterday, Sony showed up to Comic-Con with some pretty big reveals for Spider-Man 2. We had another look at the game, as well as a look at some new hardware and accessories you can buy for your PS5, and we're gonna go over all of that here today. Also, we are gonna be talking about Square Enix, who's responded once again to the Final Fantasy XVI sales controversy and situation, and we also had another live service game shut down, which at this point probably isn't very surprising. So if you guys enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button, helps out a ton. And if new here to the Spawnwave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And we're gonna start today with Dolphin and kind of the scuffle that happened with Valve and Nintendo, all of this really keeping Dolphin from making its grand debut on Steam, which would have been big for overall exposure of the program, which of course works to emulate Wii and GameCube games. Well, there was an entire post that you can see some of it here, kind of clarifying the situation, what happened behind the scenes, and for the most part, it was what we ended up concluding after more and more information came out, which is that yeah, they attempted to put Dolphin on Steam. Valve contacted Nintendo. Nintendo basically said, hey, this is what we're seeing with this program, and we don't really like this. And really, they kind of referenced different things like DMCA, but didn't actually pose a strike or claim or anything like that. And basically, Valve said, hey, we need Nintendo to basically okay this, you guys come to an agreement, and then it'll appear on Steam, which at this point, the team behind Dolphin is saying that it's impossible and that they'll just not be able to get on Steam at all because, not shocking anyway, Nintendo's not really gonna wave this one through. So at this point, nothing's really changed, and in fact, they believe that Dolphin is in no legal danger or anything despite those Wii common keys being present. So it seems like it's gonna be business as usual going forward, just more and more development happening behind a really beloved emulator at this point with Dolphin. Also, we did get a release date for the Borderlands movie, and you can see this posted up over on Twitter from the Borderlands account saying, mark your calendars for August 9th, 2024. I'm not really sure what to take from the Borderlands movie at this point. I haven't really been following it, to be honest, but I see like Kevin Hart and Jack Black, couple names up there, so I assume it's gonna have a lot of comedic nature to it, right? So it play into Borderlands where obviously it's serious because your people are firing guns back and forth and all these different things, but it has kind of that comedic undertone to it. I don't know, I guess, hey, August 9th for fans of Borderlands, I'm sure you're really excited for this one, but I don't know if it's something I'm really going to be going to the theater to see. Maybe I'll hang out and wait for it to show up on a streaming service at some point. Also, in the midst of the chaos right now happening with Blizzard and Diablo 4, we did get some good news, especially for people who aren't fans of Battle.net. Turns out Blizzard is going to start moving some of their titles over to Steam, which we can see this posted up over on the website, where they say, we're excited to announce that we are bringing a selection of our games to Steam, starting with Overwatch 2, which will be available on the platform on August 10th. Now, I will admit, it is interesting kind of the timing with what's going on right now, Microsoft basically closing the deal with for Activision Blizzard. People are kind of looking at that and saying, oh, I wonder if that has anything to do with this. I mean, it's possible, but they still don't technically own Activision Blizzard, so they can't call the shots yet. But we see the Call of Duty servers get fixed and no shoot to the top of the sales charts, specifically though for the Xbox. Now we're seeing this happen, which Microsoft does like to put their titles on Steam as well. But either way, I think it's a win because I see people who aren't big fans of Battle.net, and obviously the majority of people on PC prefer to use Steam, so there you go. It looks like we'll see Overwatch 2 for now, and then maybe several other games from Blizzard making their way there. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with Sony and Insomniac Games attending Comic-Con, and they showed up in force with Spider-Man 2. We took a look at that screenshot that was released ahead of this panel. That, of course, had our first look at Venom in the Spider-Man 2 game, but then they showed up with an entire story trailer, and wow, this certainly sets up a pretty good-looking Spider-Man game, is what I'll say. I mean, we see Venom, of course, again, making the debut after that screenshot, but this time in motion. And we also saw Harry Osborn for the first time, which they are continuing to tease the idea that Harry Osborn is Venom, and Well, I would suggest that you play through Spider-Man 2018, even remastered now on the PS5. If you have not, you pretty much, I think, have to. Obviously, this is a continuation from those titles, that being Spider-Man Remastered and then Miles Morales. In fact, according to Insomniac, this is about 10, 12 months or so after the events of Miles Morales, and it appears that we have Miles kind of struggling in his own way as well as Peter, and a lot of this had to do with the superhero life intertwining with their personal life and issues there. And from what we're seeing, I mean, it looks like it's packed with, we'll say, cameos of other characters and villains, and this is a trailer that people are going to go through and kind of freeze frame and pick out little things, and I'm sure there'll be all kinds of videos coming up here, probably today, analyzing this thing like crazy. But the trailer was really good. I'm incredibly excited for Spider-Man 2, but then things got a bit more interesting because they had some hardware to talk about. Now, they initially showed a new PlayStation 5 system. You can see here they had an entire trailer for it, as well as some high-resolution screenshots, and the system looks really good. It's kind of playing into the idea, as you can see, with kind of the symbiote sort of taking over the white Spider-Man logo with the red backing there. And then on the other side, it's completely taken over and you just have the white Spider-Man logo. So I love the design of that. I think it's really, really cool. And they also had a controller, which looks awesome. Again, playing into that, but in this case, it appears that the symbiote's taken over even more of that piece. So yeah, I really like the look. It goes together very, very well. But as I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, that's great. I don't know if I want to go out and spend another, say, $550 just because the plastic on either side looks different, right, than my PlayStation 5. Although I guess if you don't have one yet, hey, it's awesome. You can pick that up. You get it bundled, I believe, with the game and everything. Digital copy, of course, not a physical copy. But here's the best part. You can buy the covers and the controller separately. They have two different versions of the covers, which you can see. One for the digital-only PlayStation 5 and the other for the disc loading system. This is kind of what we were hoping to see. The ability to just buy these covers, the shells, because they're user removable, and save money so we don't have to buy the entire system for a special edition to go next to the game. So I'm on board. I'm going to get both covers, right, for the disc-based PlayStation 5 that I have, as well as the controller. All of this is going up for pre-order on July 28th, the game coming out October 20th. However, the system and the covers and all of this will be out on September 1st. Remember, the digital code, though, will just be for the pre-order at that point and will activate on October 20th. So exciting stuff here, obviously for Spider-Man fans, but people who are really enjoyed Spider-Man and then Miles Morales and then see that Venom and Kraven and stuff are in Spider-Man 2. A lot to look forward to in October for Insomniac and that PlayStation 5. So exciting stuff. Next up, let's talk about Square Enix once again responding to the Final Fantasy XVI sales situation. Now, if you missed it, Final Fantasy XVI sold about 3 million copies in its first week, which technically trails Final Fantasy XV, Final Fantasy VII Remake, which Remake came in at 3.5 million. But if you take into the account that 16 is 70 versus Remake's 60, technically, they did about the same in terms of revenue, which is what these companies are obviously looking at first and foremost. But despite all of that, there was still a concern that 16 maybe is under expectations for Square Enix, and they're not happy with the sales so far. But IGN did get a response from Square Enix, which we can see this posted up over on their website, where they say with 38 million PS5 consoles shipped globally, that's as of March 31st, 2023, which I think we'll be getting an update from Sony here in the next couple of weeks, actually. Say sales of Final Fantasy XVI surpassed 3 million units worldwide several days after its release on June 22nd, 2023. Taking into consideration the sales figures of the acclaimed Final Fantasy VII Remake and the difference in size of the install base of the PlayStation 4 at the time of this title's release, we can see that the attach rate of Final Fantasy XVI is considerably high given the PS5 install base. Square Enix considers the initial sales results of Final Fantasy XVI to be extremely strong, and we will continue to carry out a wide range of initiatives to encourage even more people to play the game. So that's pretty straightforward. Square Enix seems happy with 16 sales right now, although I wouldn't expect Square Enix to show up this close to when it just came out last month. I wouldn't expect them to come out and say, well, this is terrible. What are we supposed to do with 3 million copies in the first week? Obviously, they're going to work to push this game further over the course of maybe the next several years. I mean, when do you really think Final Fantasy 17 is coming out? I know 7 Rebirth is coming up, first quarter of next year, we believe. I'm thinking maybe a February or March release, but even so, that's going to run alongside of Final Fantasy 16. So most likely, there will be downloadable content released, maybe some crossovers here and there, other initiatives, as they say, to get more and more people to check out Final Fantasy 16. And you know what? I actually wouldn't be surprised if over time, is this selling along with the PlayStation 5 as it continues to grow, that 16 ended up selling 10 to 15 million copies, and we may one day look back on this game as one of the best selling in the franchise. Whether you like the action direction or not, I mean, if the sales are there, maybe Square looks around and goes, oh, we were onto something, let's double down on the action side of things for Final Fantasy 17. So interesting stuff there to keep an eye on, but yeah, it seems right now Square pretty happy with where Final Fantasy 16 is sales-wise. Next up, let's talk about another live service game that is closing down after, well, basically a year, in some cases less than that. Now, this is Gundam Evolution, which we saw in a state of play like a year ago, I think, and it was sort of the, I don't want to say hero shooter, but kind of team-based Gundam shooter, first person, and it was free to play. It came out on PC first, and then followed up to consoles like 2 or 3 months later. Well, now it's shutting down before the end of this year. We can see this posted up, this over on Gundam Evolution's news site, where they say the game service will end on November 29th, 2023. We wanted to create a title that brought FPS fans and Gundam fans together. We challenged ourselves to create an authentic Gundam FPS game that could be played globally. Unfortunately, we have determined that it is no longer possible for us to provide a service that satisfies our players. So I did play this game on PC actually for about 10 or so hours, and there were some issues there right away. A lot of it being you didn't really unlock a lot of stuff for the amount of time you were putting into it. And as we know with free-to-play games, I mean, it's a very competitive sector right now. I know Battle Royale is like the big thing, but in general, these live service games are all pulling for your attention. There's only so much time that we all have to play games. And when you're playing a game like this, kind of the appeal of being in a Gundam, like big, obviously, mech, wears off over time because everyone else is also a big mech, so you don't actually feel larger than anything around you. And the fact that you're not unlocking a lot of stuff, at least in my time, it kind of put me off a bit. And I was like, well, maybe I'll check back in a couple years from now, or maybe next year or something, when they have more content available, and I'll give it another shot. Well, this is also the unfortunate reality of live service games. If they don't catch on right away, well, the company has to look around and wonder if it's worth putting more time, effort, and money into, and if not, they just kind of cut it there. And in this case, yeah, Gundam Evolution on consoles, remember it came out December 2022, didn't even make it a full year. Well, there you have it with Gundam Evolution. Shame to see, because it was at least an interesting idea, but if you don't come to the table with a plan that extends past the year, or really something you can pivot to if it's not working, then it kind of gets shut down, and that's that. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about a new King Kong game that was leaked on Amazon and then a couple hours later was officially unveiled with a trailer, and I'll just let you take a look at the trailer here. Yeah, it doesn't look very good, and then you hear the pricing, it's $40, and then you hear that it's from Game Mill Entertainment. Yeah, at that point, I kind of checked out a bit. This is Skull Island Rise of Kong. It's coming out later this year, apparently. They have some key features, including explore the origins of the king, unleash the fury of Kong, ascend to new heights. You gain new abilities through special events and intense boss fights to unlock Kong's full potential. You discover the mythos of Skull Island. This just, it does look like a Game Mill game, and I mean, you just go look at their lineup. You'll see what I'm talking about as soon as you go through it. Now, this is in development at Iguana Bee Studios, and it looks kind of like I guess kind of as a cash grab using that intellectual property, which is a shame because I remember back with like Peter Jackson's King Kong. That was a game that came out when we got the 360 had come out, and then we also had the original Xbox that got that game. It was cross-gen. The PS2 got it as well, GameCube, but really it was right there between that generation. That was actually a pretty good game, I thought. I mean, it wasn't terrible. I thought it was decent enough. This just looks unfortunate for King Kong fans because I don't know if I don't think it's going to be a very good game. I would like to see a big budget actual attempt at a King Kong game because I think the intellectual property would be strong enough if the developers were actually behind this with enough backing, we'll say. But there you have it. I guess that's the new King Kong game to look forward to, it coming out sometime later this year. And before we go to the comment of the day, we're gonna take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I ask, if you play games on PC, which storefront or launcher are you using the most? I knew Steam was gonna win this, obvious, right? 89%. I was curious what would edge out for second place. The Microsoft Store does appear to be there. I was kind of thinking Epic Game Store would have been higher because I mean, they just give away games, it seems, right? If you're just using Epic Game Stores, they keep giving games away to keep you on the platform, or at least check it out. Although I guess Microsoft Store is just on your system when you, like for Windows, when you get it, it's already there. GOG is, of course, a platform where they provide DRM-free games, but I think people look at that more as just like a website storefront that they go to without the launcher necessarily, and then just a different launcher not listed here. Could be EA, could be Ubisoft, but that just shows you why so many games, even if they already have a launcher, will kind of look to Steam and be like, can we put our games here too? Because, well, just according to this poll, 89% of people prefer to use that, and that might even be lowballing it for like all of PC gaming. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day as you're seeing here. This is from Adams, who says, we're coming up on the 25th anniversary of Ocarina of Time in November. I would expect something to mark the occasion, and that leaked Zelda Lego set was Ocarina of Time's Deku Tree. It's not an unreasonable assumption by that metric. Even that, though, feels like expecting too much. My gut tells me this is going to be extremely minor. 25th anniversary Ocarina of Time wallpaper set or something maybe that feels more likely. You know, I would like to see Nintendo go back and just full-on remake Ocarina of Time. And I know we had the 3DS version, and that wasn't necessarily a remake, but they basically spruced up the visuals and other things for the 3DS. I mean, like what we saw Capcom do with Resident Evil 2, right? Like, they changed up some of the gameplay and obviously massive leap in visuals. I think it'd be cool to see Nintendo go back and do that. But it's not coming this year. I think that's pretty obvious at this point. But still, 25th anniversary, you're right, maybe it'll be like a wallpaper set or just a shout out on Twitter. Or, hey, maybe a Lego set, but maybe next gen for whatever Nintendo has up their sleeve. Maybe in a couple years, we do get that Ocarina of Time remake. I think that'd be pretty amazing to see, so here's hoping. And ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today, whether it is Square Enix and how they've responded now to the Final Fantasy XVI sales controversy and concerns online. They seem pretty happy with it, but how long do you think they're gonna push Final Fantasy XVI with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth out there? And then also, what about Spider-Man 2? Massive showing at Comic-Con. Are you getting the covers for your PlayStation 5, the controller, or maybe just the whole special edition bundle? Thanks guys for watching. Have a great weekend. I'll see you back here Monday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern time for Newswave.